Hey, what is going on, guys? Pineapple Sway here. Before we get started, just wanted to say thank you guys so much for 3,600 subscribers, and I just wanted to shout out all of the channel members, starting with Javerd, Clint Fortune, Stretch, Reed Fletcher, Stixie, Unknown Name, Dogcruel, Lance Fox 23, and Tammy. Thank you so much for being channel members and supporting the channel. If you want to become a channel member, hit the link in the description. Now let's get on with today's video. Now, what are we set to talk about today? That is whether or not did Rocksteady completely ruin their credibility and really just everything they've worked for in the last really 10, 15 years because of Suicide Squad killed the Justice League. Now, we all know Suicide Squad, when it came out, it was not perceived well. Although I would say nowadays the game has a lot more popularity than it did back then. A lot of more people seem to enjoy the game for what it is. But it opens up the question that, did Rocksteady completely kill all hype for their next game already? As we all know that they are working on another game that they've been working on since June of 2024. And that game was soon to be confirmed to be a Batman game, Batman Arkham game. But the question is, and this is something I've been thinking about as well, is, and I've even mentioned this, and I've seen a lot of people mentioning it as well, is, well, truth be told, we have no idea what the next Batman game will be. Will it take place between the events of after Suicide Squad? Will it take events before Arkham Asylum? Where is the timeline? We have no idea, but it also, like what I said, it opens up the question, will people even care to bother with this game? Because a lot of people like to throw Rocksteady under the bus because of what happened with Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, calling the game DEI, woke, etc. All of those terms that people like to throw when people don't think a game's good. We've seen it with this game. We're now seeing it with Assassin's Creed Shadows. It's a common theme in gaming. But will Rocksteady be able to rebuild that trust almost? Because in all honesty, I'm excited for their next Batman game and I look forward to it. And, I enjoyed Suicide Squad, but can understand that the game is severely flawed and had a lot of problems that people just didn't, like, and which caused a lot of conflict that people didn't like the game. And people say that, it shouldn't be in the Arkhamverse, it shouldn't have been made. There's a lot of questions related to that, like, why did they bother making the game? So now it's like, here we are, they're making a Batman game. And I've even mentioned this in videos previously, that they really have to make it perfect. They can't really screw it up. And I think with Batman, he's a hard character to screw up. Everyone loves Batman. And going into it, I think the general idea is that people are probably going to like the game. It's going to probably be perceived pretty well just because it's Batman. It's not like Suicide Squad, or it's not like something else entirely. They're not flipping the script. They're just going back to basics, because they've even said that this game will simply just go back to basics. So what can we expect from this game? Probably a 8 to 10 hour story, maybe some extra content in between, like what we had before, like challenge maps, DLC, side missions, whatever, you name it, to give us a 15 to 20 hour experience. Nothing crazy, nothing out of the ordinary, just something like that. Probably a pretty simple story that we'll probably be able to figure out halfway through the game. No twist. No risk, really. Nothing like what we saw with Suicide Squad, where we have to kill the Justice League and then kill 13 Brainiacs a whole year later. And just adding all of this stuff that gets more and more confusing on a seasonal basis. We're going to get everything right then, and then if the game does well, if it sells well, then we might get a DLC, like an extra DLC, like what we've seen in the other Arkham games. Like, for example, Harley Quinn's Revenge in Arkham City, and Season of Infamy, I believe it was called, in Arkham Knight. So with that being said, this game will probably be extremely simple. There won't be really any risk that they take, and it's going to be a fun, simple game that I assume people will like. But the problem is, are people even going to bat an eye at this game? Are people going to see this game and be like, oh, that's so cool, it's a Batman game? Or are they going to look at it and be like, oh, Rocksteady's making this game. Remember when they made Suicide Squad? That game was horrible. I'm not going to buy this. It really opens up the question of how the public is going to perceive it, because it does make you question, like, yes, Rocksteady did take a lot of steps back when they made Kill the Justice League, but to its core, the game still had a lot of fun elements. It's just the story was kind of all over the place, and then the gameplay, you could say what you will about the gameplay. I enjoyed it, but the gameplay definitely had problems. So Are they going to copy, the Arkham combat? Are we going back to Arkham combat? Are they going to flip the script? We really don't know. Basically, what I can assume is that they'll probably go back to Batman Arkham Combat that we all know and love. Everyone loves Batman Arkham Combat. And like what I said, it's going to have a simple story, and that'll be it. And we'll just have to wait for the next game if we want to see that universe expand. But it also opens up the question, because what is one thing that people have been asking for a long time, and what is something that Rocksteady could deliver on? Well, a lot of people have been asking for a Batman Beyond game. Now, Batman Beyond game was in development, but then it turned into Gotham Knights. We all know how Gotham Knights turned out. That was another game that people didn't like, but some people liked it. So Rocksteady has a really once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to sort of restore faith in the people that used to enjoy their games and enjoy their game series. They can make up for their loss from Suicide Squad and show these people that, hey, Suicide Squad was kind of a fluke. We are still good. We are still the masters at making superhero games with Batman Beyond. And why even bring up Batman Beyond? Well, it's pretty simple. If this game takes directly after the events of Suicide Squad killed the Justice League, obviously they're going to have to retcon a few things, but I think that's okay with how Suicide Squad was perceived. They can easily set up a universe that sets up Terry McGinnis and Bruce Wayne as his mentor after the events of Kill the Justice League, which it would have to probably be, like what I said, something simple, and we go back to Gotham, a 2060 Gotham. And why am I saying 2060 Gotham? Well, believe it or not, if you have read the prequel comics for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, it has already been teased, it's already been shown that 2060 Gotham is a thing. I believe it's 2064 to be exact. So that's one idea that they could throw to really get people to really want to buy and play this game. And another thing too that kind of has the benefit of the doubt is when this game comes out, a lot of people will be having to spend a ton of money to upgrade their hardware to buy the next gen consoles, because it seems like this game will likely come out when the next gen consoles launch. So it'll be probably a day one launch for the PS6 and the Xbox whatever, but the game will also be available on the Xbox Series and the PS5. That's been leaked that it'll be on both systems, so that's also another benefit. So it seems like, they're taking precautions to do a lot of things to help, fans that may have had a sour taste left in their mouth after Suicide Squad, to try and reel them back in. But it also opens up the other question, is that this game can't be bad. And with it set to release sometime in 2027, most likely, that's the rumor. We really don't know. It could release earlier, it could release later, but the rumor is 2027. They don't have much time, but, more time isn't necessarily a good thing, but it's not necessarily a bad thing either, because we saw they took 10 years with Kill the Justice League. We saw how that turned out. But, back in their heyday when they were releasing, they went from Arkham Asylum to Arkham City relatively pretty quickly, I think in 2 years' time. So, they're probably used to this stage of not having much time, and they have to make a game as good as possible. Now, what do you guys think? Do you guys think that they'll be able to sort of save, their company and show that they still have it and prove to WB that they can still make great superhero games? Or is it, that they peaked at Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, Arkham Knight, and that they can no longer make good games, and that the damage caused from Suicide Squad is now going to be with them forever, and that people won't even bother with their next game? Personally, I think that they'll knock it out of the park with their next game, but it really depends. They seem to be taking all of the necessary steps to bring us a great game, knowing that it's going to be a single player experience, no live service, they're going back to basics, and it's Batman. Seems like there's nothing that could go wrong. At least that's what we think, because anything could really go wrong today in, the gaming world. We all saw what happened to Wonder Woman, and we see it with games all the time. Something looks really great, but then when it comes out, it can be an absolute disaster. It's not just with the superhero genre. So, anyways, though, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section. I don't think Rocksteady's cooked. I don't think Rocksteady is, I think they're basically ready for what's to come, and I think they're going to bring us a great single-player Batman Arkham experience, which is what they're known for. No more live service and no more Suicide Squad. Anyways, though, this is Pineapple Sway. Peace out, everybody.